Hello everybody, thank you for joining us today for the Photoshop session. We will be creating the site plan on Photoshop, and we will add all the trees and greenery and all of the effects that you see in this sample here on Photoshop. So to begin with, let's all open the site plan on PDF file on Photoshop. Call the layer, we just double click on the layer and call it site. I'll create a new layer underneath as a background, and I will color it white so you can see the lines very clearly. To begin with, we'll be creating the base of the contour lines. Sometimes it's very important to show the contour lines in your site plan if they are like very steep. So this is going to be very useful for you to see how simple it is to create this. So I will create a new layer called contour, and I will color it light gray using the paint bucket. I will use the brush, and I will choose the hardness 0, and I will choose a relatively big one, let's size a little big, and I will choose the color to be a slightly lighter gray, and I will be painting inside the contour lines. This is the starting the steepness, but you have to make sure that you are making very smooth lines, because in reality it's not very what's the word, broken, and I will be creating them until the last one is the white here. You can add, like, if you want to make sure that it looks different. If you find that for some reason you needed to change the colors if they are not correct, you can always add more grays or darker ones around that. If you want to change it and make it the whole thing darker, you can just go to adjustments, make sure that you are selecting the contour layer and choose levels. The adjustment level will appear here, allowing you to change the darkness of the contour themselves. So for now, let's keep it like that. Let's add the grass on this. So from open, I'm going to open a photo of the grass, which is the golf course grass field. Basically, you just find these photos on Google. I'm going to go to edit and copy after I select all, or you can actually drag and drop the whole layer like this. Once it is on your the file that you're working on, working file, I'm going to resize it, and then I will choose a multiply from the blending option. So this is the blending options, it's near the opacity in the layer window. Once you blend it in, you will see that it actually took the contour lines. If I hide the contour lines, the effect won't be there anymore, and it will look just a plain grass field. If I show them, make them visible, then that will appear like that with a little bit of texture on it. If you feel that you want the contour lines to be darker, you just go again to the layer, to the levels and adjustment from adjustment, and you can make them darker. It depends on how steep they are in your site. I will open again another file, which is the tan stained paper texture. I'm going to add it so it will create a nice effect with the grass, so it won't be very plain green. I will again, sorry, no need to select, I'll just drag and drop it here, and I will choose multiply again. The file size is a little bit bigger, so you can actually resize it on your site to make sure you get all of the effect here. Now we will add the building. To add the building, I'm going to open the JPEG file that we have from the site plan. And this is our building here, but it comes with all of the grass that we want, the green area that we don't need. So to select only the building, there is a very simple option for you. You just click on the magic wand, and then you will be able to see the magic wand properties on the tab menu. Make sure none of the options, three options, is selected. So not the anti-alias, not the contiguous, and not the sample all layers. Tolerance could be 30 for now. If I click on the green area anywhere, it will select everything that is green on my screen, which is in the same layer. And to delete it, you make sure that the background is not locked. You just click on the lock, one click, and it will unlock it. Now I'll be able to delete it. However, if I zoom in, you'll be still be able to see the black lines, which are the contour lines, and you also don't need this. You can either delete them manually using the eraser, or you can do the same thing, just to click on any of the black lines, and it will select them all. Maybe here you need to make the tolerance a little bit higher than 30, maybe 50, because there's some dots here are not selected. Now you will see that it's selecting everything. You just delete them again. If I click outside and delete, you will see that it only selects the villa. So to take the building to my my file, I can just then now drag and drop it, and it's here, but it's very big relatively to the site. So I'm going to resize it. When you are resizing anything on Photoshop, make sure you are always pressing the Shift key, because you don't want to lose the dimensions. You want to lock the dimensions in. After you resize it, you just click or hit enter, so you are out of the transformation mode. You put the building on the top layer, name it building. Now we will add some texture to the building. So if I double click on the layer, it will show the layer style. So you just double click on the layer and the layer style will appear. Choose pattern overlay, and many patterns will appear on this window. You just click on the arrow, then the simple setting button. I will choose grayscale paper, and OK. Now it shows different patterns in here. I will select any of this that you like. Just make sure you are on either the multiply or linear burn option from the blend mode. You can also control the opacity and the scale of the pattern itself. For now I think this is alright, and I'm going to click OK. I don't need this anymore, so no, to save. I will open the shadows. The shadows, which is the SitePlan shadows file, it's PDF file, because I want to add them now here to this file. I'll click OK. The problem with the shadows is that it's PDF file, and it's it has all of the lines included with the shadow lines. So to be able to select only the shadows and not the lines, I'm going to select the magic wand from the top properties menu. Make sure the tolerance is only like no need to be 50. I think in this case it's 30, right? You make sure you're not selecting any of the three options here, and you click on any place that has shadows in it, for example here. And now you will notice that it selected all of the shadows in your layer. I will click a new layer, and I will use the paint bucket. Also make sure none of the options are selected here, and if I click on the layer on the color black and click inside the selection, it will automatically do all of the shadow black in all of my selected area. If I hide the background layer here, you can see that I have the shadows separated on their own. So to move them to my own building, I can just either copy this layer or move it, but I don't need these extra shadows here that from the side, so I will delete that from this layer, and then I'll just drag and drop, and the shadows are added to my file. To blend the shadows on the layer, let's first call it shadow. I am going to change the opacity a little bit and create a mask. So if I click on the shadow layer and then the mask on the bottom of the layer window, the mask will be created. If I click on the mask square, which is the white square, then choose the brush and black paint, I will be able to change the size of the brush by clicking on the right click on my mouse. I'll make it smaller. Then I'm going to blend in the edges. Some people also like to use the eraser for this function. However, keep in mind, if you do the eraser, it may be hard to undo that, so it's always recommended to use the masking tool. After the shadows are created and added to this file, don't need them anymore, we will be adding some trees. So to add the trees, I will open first Google Tree 1 file, and I will drag and drop it on my file here. You can rotate the image and scale it after you select the moving tool. Make sure when you are adding any photos that, for example, this one I just got it from Google, that the shadow is actually matching the shadow of the building. Shadow direction, I mean. Now I will choose multiply for blending. So when I do that, you can notice that it's very dark, and you need to find a way to distinguish the shadows of the trees added from the ground itself. So I will use this tool, which is called Dodge tool. It's like, in case it's not showing here, it's one of the three tools, sponge, burn, dodge. So if you right click on any of them, you will be able to find the Dodge tool. I will keep clicking until I can get this shadow emphasized and the green. It's just like as if you're painting it, but it's making the trees more visible. You can actually do that to add more texture to the trees, more shown on your site. Now I will create a mask for the trees later. Let me call it trees. If I add a mask here and click on the mask, then on the paint, the brush tool, make sure it's a black color and sizing is a little bit big, and okay, I'll Control Z. I will be able to actually choose what I want to hide from this layer. So after I hide all of this area, I'm left with the trees on my site. Now I will open and add another tree to this corner over here. I will use Google Tree 3 and copy the corner trees from this part. So if I don't want all of the image, I can just select it from the square and then copy and paste it here. I will use again the blending tool, blending option, sorry, multiply, and I will use the Dodge tool also to make it more significant. If you want to see how it looks before you blended it, you can just keep it on normal, and you will see that when I am using the Dodge tool, I am actually making the space around the trees very light, emphasizing only the shadows, so it's like making them more separating them, I would say, from the our surroundings. So if I click multiply now, it will be more separated, and I can choose the mask again, brush, color black, and hiding all of the sides I don't want. I just created this part here so I can have the path separated. Now I want to add a little texture to this side of the plan, so I'm going to use the woodcut surface. Again, as I said, it's not always necessary that the textures that you use are called soil or trees. It could be called something else. You just need to be a little bit creative when you are searching them on Google. I'm going to drag and drop it on the main file, put it probably underneath the building and the trees, and if I choose now multiply tool, it may not show very nicely because I've already so many layers multiplied on top of each other. So maybe I will use probably lighter color, and I think it's too little. Linear light. Okay, you can just explore different options. Go color burn. I'll choose lighter and give it probably darken. Vivid color. I'll choose vivid color, and I give it opacity 26%. You can just play around, see if you would prefer to choose different blending mode. Now I will show you how you can add like another type of trees, not necessarily the trees that comes all together. So we'll open the tree, Google Tree 3, and I will use the not the magic wand tool, but the quick selection tool, which is on the same. I can just right click on the magic wand. The quick selection tool, you select the trees that you want to go together, and then you just copy them, going to the top layer, and you paste it. So now you have your trees here. Making them a little smaller. Now if I double click on the tree layer, let's call it first, change the name. The layer style will appear after you double click on the layer. I will choose drop shadow and make sure that the shadow matches the direction of the building. Make the distance and the spread, the opacity matching. Now I will use gradient overlay and black and white. Instead of linear, I will use radial, and I will use from the blend multiply. Now it shows the trees to be dark from the inside and bright from the outside. We want to do this on the opposite way, so I just click on reverse, and this will help changing the giving some effect for the trees. I click OK. If I choose now from any of the mode, overlay or multiply, I think overlay is giving a better result here. Soft light probably. It will just help to add the tree merging a little bit better on the site. If you want to try to make and add a different texture to the whole building to give it more of an effect, you can just go to the Google and try to search for textures for Photoshop. For example, I think this particular one is nice, but let's try to find something like this. If I view the image, copy it, if I put it on the whole top layer of the artwork, and if I just give it darken, maybe multiply again, it will just create a more of a focused lighting to the whole art, the work, the Photoshop work. I hope you like it. You can always add different types of trees and things like that to this site plan.